Banded together from remote galaxies are 13 of the most sinister villains of all time, the Legion of Doom, dedicated to a single objective, the conquest of the universe. Only one group dares to challenge this intergalactic fight, the Super Friends.
Oh, sorry, I didn't see that. Sorry, I was just watching one of my favorite cartoon shows here. Since you're here and since it's Saturday, why not continue my tradition of reviewing two movies? Some two movies right there, just two movies. First movie that I'll be reviewing is a Terry Gilliam film. It came out in the year 1995. This is called 12 Monkeys. There it is. There's the cover. There's the back. This movie stars Bruce Willis, Madeline Stowe, and Brad Pitt. This movie takes place in the future, and in this reality, over 5 billion people died in the year 1986 due to a virus that wiped out, like I said, 5 billion people. Okay, and currently the mankind is living underneath the ground, underground. And what they do is, due to this virus, they send back a volunteer or a convict, played by Bruce Willis' characters. I believe his character's name is David Cole. Yeah, they sent him back to the. They sent him back to the past. They have a time machine, and they sent him back to see if he can find out if he can get a pure sample of the virus. Okay, but they, the first time they sent him back too far back. They sent him back to the year 1990, where of course, he's confused and disoriented, and he's rambling about about a virus and killing 5 billion people. So, he gets sent to a mental institution, of course, where he meets two characters. He meets Madeline Stowe's character, who's a psychiatrist. Her name's Catherine O'Reilly, and then he also meets a mental patient, Jeffrey Goins, played by Brad Pitt, who's a insane son of a famous virus expert. Okay, and basically this is a story about James Cole, Bruce Willis' character, basically trying to find out who the army of the 12 monkeys are. Okay, because they're the group that's supposed to be, that everybody thinks in the future has released the virus. So he's basically trying to find out, locate that group, so he can get a pure sample of the virus, so he can go back to the future and tell them, so they can, combat this virus and hopefully restore mankind back, and they can return to the surface. And this movie is surreal. First of all, I love the performances in this movie. Bruce Willis was, I think, probably one of his best roles ever. As the confused and heroic guy trying to find out, James Cole trying to find who this 12 Monkeys group is, and get that pure sample of the virus, so humanity can return to the surface, and he can get a pardon. Of also, that's what he's been promised, that he can get a pardon if he can help, get a pure sample of the virus. Okay, and of course then you have Brad Pitt, who's cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, who's absolutely insane as the son of a famous scientist and virus expert. He's nuts. That's when Bruce Willis first encounters him in the mental institution. He's insane, but like I say, he's the son of this famous virus expert. And then you also have Madeline Stowe, who plays a psychiatrist who, once he sees Bruce Willis' character, she has a feeling that she's met him before somewhere. Okay, and of course she doesn't believe his story. His story is insane. He tries to explain it to people, of course, but of course they think he's insane. And this movie by Terry Gilliam is this intense and surreal, and you have time travel, you have sci-fi, you have action, you have a mystery, and you're hoping, you're wondering if Bruce Willis's character is gonna find, who this army of the 12 monkeys are, and Brad Pitt is the key. Well, I won't explain any further than that without spoiling it for you. But Brad Pitt's character is the key, or one of the keys. Let's put it that way. Okay, and Madeline Stowe is the psychiatrist who's, like I said, she has this sense that she's seen Bruce Willis before, his character before, David Cole, and she gets reluctantly dragged into this. Okay, and this, like I said, it's a very intense movie, very surreal, and Bruce, like I said, Bruce Willis, I think, gives probably one of the one of his best performances ever. Is this intense guy trying to, find this army of the 12 monkeys so he can get his, so he can get his pardon and have his freedom. And Brad Pitt is absolutely cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, like I said, nuts. And he ties into the main plot, okay, without spoiling it and tell you exactly how he does, but he's basically insane. And Brad Pitt gives a great performance as somebody that's totally schizo, okay? And like I said, Madeline Stowe is good too, as a reluctant psychiatrist who, of course, doesn't believe the story about Bruce Willis, but she gets drawn into the story. And there's a lot of twists and turns into it. And it's an absolutely great film by Terry Gilliam. Lots of suspense and mystery, and you're hoping, and while you're watching this, will he find Bruce Willis's character find out who this army of the 12 monkeys are? Like I said, he gets a lot of clues and a lot of, like I said, misinformation and a lot of back and forth, and it's a really good, intense movie. Like I said, I've heard great things about this movie before, and finally saw it today, and really, really enjoyed it. Really intense movie. Like I said, Bruce Willis, I thought, gives an incredible performance in this movie. Totally worth seeing. I would definitely give this 12 Monkeys in about I think about an 8 out of 10. Just really good, because there's a lot of twists and turns, really intense. And like I said, it's the mystery of this army of the 12 monkeys, and will Bruce Willis's character find out who they are, and who released the virus and who didn't, and there's a lot of good stories in this very intense movie. Really enjoyed that. Now, the next movie, like I said, when I say Brad Pitt weekend, I have another movie by Brad Pitt. Okay, this movie is called Babel. Okay, this movie came out in 2006. This is an interconnected story involving actually, I guess, an anthology of stories, 4 different stories, and they all tie in together. Okay, they're all hooked in together. And okay, the first story is about a couple played by Brad Pitt and Kate Blanchett. There's the cover. Okay, they play an estranged couple who goes to Morocco to try to reconnect. Richard and Susan Jones, Brad Pitt and Kate Blanchett, respectively, they go to Morocco to try to reconnect with each other. They had 3 kids. 2 of their kids are, of course, still alive, and 1 kid died I guess it would say sort of like crib death, when the kid stops breathing. And so basically, in his grief, Brad Pitt's character kind of pulls away from his family. So this is, in their story, they're trying on a vacation to Morocco to try to reconnect with each other and end their estrangement. Okay, and then you have a second story about also in Morocco, about a sheep herder and his 2 sons. The sheep herder buys a rifle from a fellow, I guess a fellow hunter. He buys a gun from him, so him and his son, because he's a sheep herder, so they can protect their flock from jackals and stuff. And he gives the gun to his 2 kids to help guard their flock of sheep. Okay, and then the third story takes place in Japan, and it's about a young Japanese girl, deaf teenager, who's basically her mother has recently passed, of course, and she's kind of has an estranged relationship from her father, and of course she's deaf. And this is about her basically trying to exist in a normal world, after the death of her mother. Of course, being handicapped, she can't hear and stuff, so she's very isolated. Okay, and then the fourth story is about the maid who works for Brad Pitt and Kate Blanchett's characters, and she's at home while they're in Morocco, babysitting, of course, their 2 young kids, a young daughter and a young son. Okay, and the maid, of course, is trying to, her son is getting married in Mexico, Okay, the next day. So of course she wants to go to be there for her son, and of course Brad Pitt, and without spoiling it, certain circumstances happen where she has to stay, instead of leaving, and she decides she wants to go to her son's wedding, of course, but she can't really leave due to certain circumstances that happen to Brad Pitt and Kate Blanchett's character while they're in Morocco. So she decides to take the kids with her to the wedding, since and then bring them back. That's her plan. Okay, but of course things don't work out the way she wants them to. Like I said, these stories are interconnected, and they're all hooked together by. I'll tell you what they hook together, but I won't spoil exactly what happens. They're all hooked together by a rifle. Okay, let's put it that way. I won't tell you how they're all connected by a rifle, but that's the basic connection through all 4 different cultures and 4 different stories. And like I said, it's 4 different cultures. Like I said, not Bruce Willis, Brad Pitt and Kate Blanchett's character, they're in Morocco on the second honeymoon, of course. And then you have the sheep herder and his 2 sons that are also in Morocco, and they're based, their story of them getting a new rifle and to protect their sheep, and the consequences of what happens when they buy that rifle. And then the third story, of course, is the young Japanese girl in Tokyo, who has the handicap, and her mother's recently passed, and she's estranged from her father. And basically her life and the things she has to deal with being deaf and in a big city, and her estrangement, and of course the recent death of her mother. And then the last story, of course, is the maid and her 2 kids that she's taking care of, which are the kids of Brad Pitt and Kate Blanchett's characters, and her decision to take them with her to Mexico for her son's wedding. Okay, and what happens after that once he takes them. Okay, and this movie was really, really good. This movie is directed by get this right. What's his name? Alexandro Gonzalez Inarritu. Okay, that's his name. But anyway, this is a really, really good drama, and about these 4 stories that are all interconnected, and the consequences of their actions and things that happen to them. And it's just a really good human story. There's 4 individual stories. You have tragedy, you have different things that happen, and you have happiness in certain situations, and then actions that some characters take that affect other characters. And it's just a really, really good drama. Probably one of the best movies I've seen. And I remember when this movie came out years ago, and I remember reading a review of it, and it gave it like 4 stars. This movie is really, really good. Just a really good drama about actions and things that happen, and how they're all, basically, it's good human drama of actions and consequences of those actions. And it's just a really, really good drama. I don't want to spoil exactly what happens, and whether you experience it for yourself. This movie is about 2 hours and 23 minutes, but it's not boring. The movie is interesting, and stories are complex. And I think my favorite story out of all of these, I was trying to think if, because it's 4 stories and they're all kind of connected. You know what? I was going to try to say which one was my favorite, but I think all the stories are compelling in this. Okay, definitely, you get great performances by the characters. Like I said, Brad Pitt and Kate Blanchett are, I think, are the most famous people in this. And the young girl who played the Japanese daughter, she was really, really good. And so was the actor who played the sheep herder and his 2 young sons. They were excellent also. And also the Spanish maid, I thought she was excellent, who takes care of Kate Blanchett's and Brad Pitt's kids. I thought she was absolutely fantastic. It's just a really good drama, and totally worth getting. And like I said, this movie I would give an 8 out of 10. That's how compelling I thought this was. One of the best movies I've ever seen. Okay, so that's my review of that without spoiling it. Okay, so again, these 2 movies that I reviewed, okay, 12 Monkeys, Terry Gilliam. I would definitely give this 12 Monkeys. Love this story. Brad Pitt was nuts. A lot of twists and turns about a guy trying to go back in time to find out who started the virus and try to get a pure sample of it and try to help humanity in the future combat this virus so mankind can return to the surface. A lot of twists and turns and a lot of back and forth. Definitely, I'd say 12 Monkeys definitely was an interesting movie and compelling. One of Bruce Willis's finest performances. I give it a 7.5 or 8, 7 point, at least 7.5. I put it at 7.5. Like I say, you have to pay attention to all the clues and stuff in this because there's a lot of twists and turns in this. So I give this a 7.5. Okay, definitely 7.5. But did I say 8 before? I'm not sure, but I think at least 7.5. That's my final score. Definitely a really good movie, real intense, and definitely Babel. I would give Babel an 8 out of 10. Just really good drama. The story, the 4 stories, like I said, are interconnected and by a rifle. But that's all I'm going to tell you about how they're connected, and then you can watch it and figure out how that rifle connects all 4 stories. But a really, really good human drama about 4 stories and the things that happen to people and the consequences of those actions, and really just a really good drama. Really one of the best movies I've seen. Okay, Babel, definitely worth getting. Okay, so that's my review of those 2 movies. Let me know what you think. Feel free to leave comments down below. And this is Trepacer saying so long and take care. And I'm going back to watching my superhero, Challenge of the Superhero, Challenge of the Super Friends. It's one of my favorite cartoon shows growing up. Okay? So, take care.